Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into how the biggest sporting event in history suddenly became the ultimate stage for the world's smaller nations to completely steal the show. I mean, the 2026 World Cup wasn't just another tournament, right? It literally rewrote the rules on who gets to be a hero.
So what actually happens when you open those doors to the ultimate underdogs? For decades, as we know, the World Cup was practically a VIP club for traditional powerhouses. But 2026 completely flipped the script. We're going to break down exactly how this massive shift forever changed the beautiful game and why the incredible stories of these emerging nations had literally billions of us glued to our screens. Section 1. The Invitation, the biggest stage ever. Okay, to really grasp this, we gotta look at the numbers. The summer of '26 brought this historic expansion across North America. But the absolute magic number? 48. For the first time ever, a staggering 48 national teams got the invite. That single game-changing decision threw the doors wide open for debuting nations who, let's be honest, had previously only ever dreamed of a shot like this.
Just imagine being a lifelong fan of a team that had never made the cut. This expansion took the tournament from this super exclusive club to a genuine global festival of dreams. You had millions of fans traveling across North America, packing their flags, belting out their anthems, specifically because, finally, their nation had a seat at the table.
Section 2. The Giant Slayers, highlighting the biggest surprises.
Because here's the kicker, guys. These underdogs didn't just show up to, take some nice photos and participate. No way. They arrived ready to completely dismantle the football hierarchy. I mean, picture it. An African team shocking a former world champion with a wild last-minute goal. Or a debuting nation snagging their first-ever World Cup victory. These weren't just wins. They were instant national holidays that proved reputation alone absolutely does not win matches. And it wasn't just a fluke. This proved that decades of entrenched football infrastructure could be entirely neutralized by raw unity and just tactical fearlessness. These smaller nations hit the nail on the head. Systemic advantages and heavy favorites can absolutely be undone with a well-organized squad playing with pure, undeniable conviction.
Section 3. The Crucible, surviving the group drama.
Now, landing a shock win is great, but surviving the group stage? That was an absolute gauntlet. We saw teams that experts completely wrote off pulling off actual miracles. I'm talking about fighting back from brutal 2-goal deficits, executing absolutely stunning last-minute free kicks to stay alive, and barely surviving those intensely stressful goal difference tiebreakers. It was pure, breathless, edge-of-your-seat football.
It was right inside this pressure cooker that brand-new heroes were forged out of total obscurity. We watched teenage strikers scoring these crucial imagination-capturing goals. We saw talented goalkeepers putting on match-saving clinics, and courageous defenders totally dictating the tempo against global superstars. These players basically became instant symbols of hope, inspiring kids in academies all over the world.
Section 4. Facing the Football Giants, the Ruthless Knockout Stage. So as these survivors marched into the knockouts, the margin for error pretty much vanished completely. It became the ultimate clash of styles. On one side, you've got the sheer will, unity, and raw survival instinct of the underdogs. And on the other, world-class, terrifying tactical execution. It was pure passion, desperately defending against Brazil's creative attacks, Argentina's experienced youth, France's blinding speed, Germany's machine-like discipline, and England's balanced confidence.
Actually, there's one dramatic match that perfectly captures this whole vibe. Think about it. 90 minutes of exhausting, incredibly tense defensive stands just to keep the game scoreless. Then, they're pushed through another 30 minutes of grueling extra time, stretching every single player to their absolute physical limits. And finally, the dreaded penalty shootout, where an underdog goalkeeper saved the final shot, instantly etching his name into his nation's history forever.
These Cinderella runs were without a doubt spectacularly thrilling to witness, but the big question was always looming. Could the underdogs actually survive the ultimate gauntlet of the quarters and semis? As the field tightened from 16 down to 8 and then just 4, the pressure to lock in a spot for the grand final became, honestly, almost unbearable.
Section 5. The Final Whistle. Champions are crowned.
Ultimately, the grand final delivered an absolute masterpiece of agonizing tension and unadulterated brilliance. The entire championship came down to the dying minutes, just a single moment of magic. A perfectly timed pass literally split the defense wide open, setting up a calm, calculated striker's finish.
That one kick won the World Cup, setting off a tidal wave of fireworks, tears, and pure, unfiltered joy.
Section 6. A Legacy of Unity. The True Meaning of 2026.
But, if we really look at the takeaways from 2026, the true legacy wasn't just about who got to lift that golden trophy. It was everything that happened off the pitch. Because of this massive 40-18 format, supporters from wildly different backgrounds were brought together like never before. You had fans sitting side by side in stadiums, completely regardless of nationality, sharing meals, learning about new cultures, and enthusiastically swapping scarves.
It really drives home this point. The expanded format didn't just give us more games to watch. It proved that football is genuinely a universal language. When you finally give smaller nations the chance to step up and dream, they don't just participate, they rise up, they create lifelong memories, and they inspire generations across the entire globe to dream even bigger.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Now that the world's biggest stage has finally made room for everyone, and those doors are permanently propped open for the underdogs, who do you think is training right now in some quiet corner of the globe, just waiting to shock the world next? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep learning, and definitely keep dreaming big.